your time will come. I will now do a video about my favorite Bookish music, and this was one of the videos. You cannot see what it's called here, but it's Soltatio Mortis' Weiß wie Schnee. And I came up with this idea for a video about my favorite Bookish music, because I don't only like books, nobody only likes books. I also have a real enjoyment for music and lyrics in the music. And I just thought it would be fun to bundle that with a bookish theme here on my booktube channel. So we start now. At the beginning, I'll let you listen to a small fraction of the song Weiß wie Schnee by Soltatio Mortis, which is not directly a bookish music thing, but it is slightly mythological and slightly fairy tale based. So I will include songs based on myths, mythology and fairy tales in here, not only purely bookish, but Weiß wie Schnee is based on the fairy tale of Frau Holle, which in turn is at least in part based on stories set in Scandinavian and Germanic mythology, because I think it is well known, the story itself, also in America. At least I have known it since I was a very little child. It's about children who arrive at a woman, and the children that are willing to work, that are listening to their parents in general, but also that are, in this case, listening to the woman and do the work, they will be rewarded richly. In the case of the original story, a girl fell through a well, ended up with Frau Holle, and she did the work for weeks or months. And then when she came back home to her extremely unfair stepmother and stepsister, she was insanely rich. She got a lot of money. So what the mother did was sending her own daughter, who was a lazy ass bitch, there as well, so she could get a lot of money too. But instead she got punished because she was lazy and either did not do her tasks right, or didn't do them at all because she was so lazy. She was not willing to work for a reward. So that is basically what the story is about, but in general it's a more of a lesson for children to not be lazy, but to do your work, or the work that's expected from you. Because if you do the work, you will get rewarded. If you are lazy, nothing good will happen to you. Which is like, I heard that, it's a very dark song. Really, really dark. And I also discovered, because we in the Netherlands have something like along the lines of Sinterklaas and Black Pete, which internationally causes, I believe, quite a bit of trouble every year, because it should be racist. I can tell you it's not meant racist, but that does not matter at all, because if people are hurt by the way those made up people are put on a boat and do the work of helpers, if it hurts people, you can just change up the stuff. It's a feast, a party for children. They get presents, they have fun. Children don't care if those things are black or brown or cheese colored, whatever. But I discovered that in this song, which is also set or based partly on mythological grounds, we have Knecht Ruprecht, which is a helper, in this case of Frau Holle. He is also black and punishes children in the same way as Black Pete does. So it's not very different, because in the time those stories came about, black was just an analog for dark and night and evil. So they were supposed to be the people or the creatures that did the bad things. But in Germany they also have at the south they have Krampus, which I think in parts has been taken over by Santa because same origins as Sinterklaas or Santa Claus. It's all complex history. I think I could make an entire video about it, but I loved it because I recognized so many things and it also let you think about a lot of things. But now we got on to the song that was actually first on my list, which is Queen of Hearts or Queen of Hearts Returns, one of those two titles by Exandria, which is based on Alice in Wonderland, of course, because the Queen of Hearts. And it's so eerie and dark and it feels completely like a dark Alice in Wonderland type thing, but more so from a Queen of Hearts perspective. The first time I heard it, I thought, this is freaky, this sounds strange, it's symphonic metal, so it's not your regular pop music. In that vicinity, it already sounds different, but it also sounds different than your regular old symphonic metal or gothic metal, or that it has a very unique sound to it, which is what made me love it. And also the lyrics did too, because I am a sucker for lyrics because I also like poetry a lot. But now we get on to a more light-hearted song, which is Undigested Lump by Hank Green, which I solely like for the comedic purpose of putting a whole lot of Shakespearean insults after one another. And making a song out of that, I laughed so hard a whole lot of times I heard that song. It's such uplifting and it's almost kind of ridiculous, but I still laugh when I hear it because it's just so funny. And then we have another Saltatio Mortis song called Prit Ein, which feels like it is inspired by, not even based on, just inspired by 1001 Night. It has a dark, eerie feel and a landlord or a king or so who marries a lot of different girls and young women, but he also kills them. And then we get to the point where the girl that just married to him gets into a tower where she is not supposed to go. Or behind a door where she is not supposed to go. That is the one forbidden place in the palace she is not supposed to go to. And she goes there and discovers a whole lot of female bodies on the wall. And the way it's described is so disgusting. I still think it's the most horrific song that I made, because it's literally described as those bodies are hanging there like the cows in a dead cows. I cannot come up with the word right now. Slaughterhouse cows. That was it. They are hanging there like that. It's such a gruesome image from the first time I heard it. It was one of their most gruesome songs, but it's also in part due to the fact that the way the entire thing sounds, the way they chose to write the music, because they write the lyrics and the music themselves for all of the different layers in the songs they write, which is something to be quite jealous about in my opinion, because they are so talented that even the singer can play 4 different other instruments next to his singing. One of which is a mouth harp, which sounds like a joke, but I think that one is actually relatively difficult. But he plays the bouzouki, which is kind of a lute-like instrument, bagpipes, another type of flute, guitar. He sings and he plays some more instruments, and that's just the general average of the instruments one of those band members can play is somewhere around 6 or 7. And half of the band or so can sing well, which is in and of itself very special because that's not something you come across. They exist already for 17 or 18 years and they still make great music. Of course it changes, but whatever. My favorite band. I can't stop. But now we go on to a Swedish song instead of a German one. It's called Hermannarik. It's written and performed by Germanna. And it's based in Swedish folklore. It's a song about a giantess who wants to marry a nobleman or a rich man, but he constantly says no and she constantly tries again and again for him to say yes so they can marry because she is truly in love with him. And the play goes on a little bit. It's just, I like it. It has that old folk song type of feel to it, but the more Irish or Scandinavian folk song type, not necessarily the American or, I don't know, other folk song type. It has a specific sound also due to the Swedish song in it, because it's a little bit of the older type of Swedish. I have the idea it's not the most modern Swedish they could find, and they did that on purpose, of course. And I will now mention my last German song, and then I will go into 2 English songs, because I think most people will get the gist of what those English songs mean, and I can just say very shortly why I like them. I put Meetnootstand in Märchenland, which is a song about a lack of mead in the fairy tale world of the fairy tales of Grimm. And you see Snow White appears and some other fairy tale creatures. It's done very well because they end up fighting for the last bit of mead in there. It's just really funny. And I just looked at my list. Came with not 3 but 4 more songs apparently. And I have the 2 English songs are a rap battle and just not a rap battle, but something that feels a little bit similar to it. We have Dark Lord Funk. I don't know really who made it. I forgot to write down the name of the creator, but it's extremely funny. It's Uptown Funk, but from Lord Voldemort's perspective. And they rewrote Hedwig's theme at a certain point in the song as a sort of bridge. It's just done, it's well. It fits with the story, but it's also just hilarious. And the same goes for the rap battle between Hermione and Katniss Everdeen. My god, 2 sassy girls rap battling one another. It's just funny. I laughed hard with those 2 songs. And I have 2 more songs. One more of Soltatio Mortis, which was a little bit of an extra ad. It's called Orpheus. It's obviously based on the Orpheus and Eurydice myth, which tells the story about a man falling in love with a nymph. The nymph dies and he tries to get her back from the underworld, which of course is impossible. If you know the story a little bit, that's what it is about, but then sung, because Orpheus could play incredibly beautiful music, and that is what the song focuses on. And that is also what I love about it. I love that the song focuses on the music the character was able to play, and that all the characters are almost sucked away into it and get completely hauled over to other sides of their opinions just based on the music. The thing that the music can make stones move and makes birds singing birds jealous, makes people and gods fall in love with it, and that kind of stuff is just such a beautiful thing. And also the song is just beautiful. Even if you don't understand what they are singing, it has almost a little bit of a more acoustic vibe to it, mostly from what I remember, and I'm definitely going to listen to that one today, but it feels like what I remember is that the string instruments have the overhand in what it sounds like, because otherwise play the stringed instrument so that fits. And then we have my last song, which is Nida Valley by Skalmud, which is based on Nida Valley, which is the dwarf world on the Yggdrasil in Scandinavian mythology. And it tells a little bit about those dwarfs, how their world works, how their story works, that kind of stuff. And I just like that it is done in Icelandic, because before I discovered the band Skalmud, I believe I had never even heard Icelandic. It has a very old or ancient Norwegian type of sound to it. And it fits the song just so well. I will link a playlist of these songs up in the cards so that you can look up the playlist of these songs, because I think it's worth it even if you don't speak the languages, because a lot of those songs may be rock and metal, but they all have quite a unique sound to them. They are not your popular pop rock. And they are also not all the same type of metal, which is really nice, I think. But this is it for now. Thank you for watching, and on to a keer!